And just a side note about the bulge in the upper part of my back of my mouth, towards the back, but like a middle and about middle and back. There was a he's like a spiritual man, and he lived, I think, over 100 years old. I think he was really old, but he was still doing really well. And he's from India, and he spoke about sun gazing. He spoke about how that he didn't have to eat anymore, and it's gotten to the point where it sounded like he found the fountain of youth. He found a way of how to live and be an immortal, because he says that he doesn't need to eat, but there's something on the upper roof of his mouth where it's connected to his pineal gland. I don't think he said that specifically, but he said it's the upper roof of his mouth. There was a gland there that developed from his sun gazing, and it's fed him. There was some kind of a milk that comes from his upper mouth that quenches his desire to eat, and it fed him to the point where he doesn't need to feed off of another source of energy. And he said the location of it was at the upper roof of his mouth. So I just thought that that was really interesting, that when I was about to pray for the woman, that I felt a bulge at the upper roof of my mouth, where I've never ever felt that before in my entire life, no matter what I ate, no matter how thirsty I was. So that was interesting. Not sure if they're tied together, but I have been looking at the sun like crazy, and I think I need to take a bit of a break, because I was staring at it for hours, and now sometimes when I look at things, I need to turn up the brightness because I'm so used to the brightness. So I'm not sure. I'm still playing with it. I'm still seeing what its effects on me are. So these are just the experiences that I had recently. So when I was speaking with the two gentlemen at the Tao place, I actually was told by the Holy Spirit that I had to renounce my membership with them. And I was really set on doing that, except that after I spoke with them, I felt that it was disrespectful, because they took so much time with me after the class that I felt that I didn't want to do it in front of the teacher, that I should just do it privately with the host, maybe later on or next week. So I went home having not done that, and the Holy Spirit spoke to me again, saying, whenever we're led to do something, it's not okay to create a gap and delay. So I slept with that in mind. And the next day, I realized that I had to correct the errors of my ways. So when we do something bad, we had to correct ourselves as quickly as possible to close the gap that we created with our negligence, with our holding off until another day. We had to just attend to it. So The next day, I asked my mother for his number, the host's number, and I asked them if I can come, if it's okay that I renounce, and if there's anything that I needed to do to renounce my membership. And he told me that, also another thing I didn't say was that when we're a member of this Tao, we had to do the ritual that was required. They guarantee us a spot in a certain level of heaven, or this certain level in which they created. I'm not sure exactly what level, but they said that we're guaranteed a spot so that we don't fall into hell. And so these people have been led because their souls are now safe from hell. And then I also asked them, well, how long are we not going to be reincarnating back into earth anymore? And he says, no, but the day that the Buddha, or the big Buddha, the fat-bellied Buddha, comes back, reincarnates onto the earth, where there's peace, they will bring us back to reincarnate then. So we're saved from the destruction and all of that. So that's what they're saying to me. But I was told that I had to renounce that. And a part of me felt like saving that as a backup, because I felt like if my relationship with Jesus didn't work out, then I had this other ritual that has, that's going to be a backup in case I fall into sin. And I didn't know, because most people don't know when they're sinning. And I'm also one of them. So I thought this will serve as my safety net. But then as I went home, it didn't sit right with me, because if I've given my life to the Creator and I've chosen to live this way, then I have to live and walk no matter how scary it seems. So the next day I called and I asked if I can renounce. And he says that, yes, there might be a guy that comes next month and he knows all about this kind of stuff, and he would ask him then. And I heard next month. That's way too late. The gap is way too big. So I said, well, what about if I just come in myself? And he's like, well, why don't you come next week? Because they have it every week. Every week they have the Tao classes. He says, why don't you come next week, and then you can do it then. And then I said, well, can you do it for me? Because I thought maybe it was an inconvenience for me to come. So I said, well, would you put in a word for me with the Buddha statues that I verbally announced that I'm not going to participate as a member anymore. And I've given my heart to Jesus. And so he says, next week is a good time. I think that's when he said next week. And so I realized he wasn't going to do it, because he doesn't even believe that he can talk to the Creator. So how is he going to believe that the statues needed to hear this from me? So I said, well, would it be all right if I just come here personally, and I would only take 5 minutes? I wouldn't take too long. And he said, all right. He let me go. And I went in there and I knelt down to the ground and I asked them, I thanked them for taking care of my family and for taking care of all these people. And I said that I've now given my heart to Christ and I will no longer be participating anymore. But I still thanked the Buddhas for taking care of my family. And I just want to say also, to point out that sometimes these little events where he says it's next month and it's next week, but I could have just, I wanted to go there at that moment. And he was able to do it. He was just home with nothing particularly that he's doing. But he put it off for me. And that wasn't okay with the Creator. And sometimes we just have to be politely insistent because we know that that was what the Creator wanted from us.